Today we're going to work on this beautiful crochet washcloth pattern. This is a really basic, very easy pattern that you can do. It has very basic stitches in it, but it looks really intricate and beautiful, and you can see it has some really nice texture to it, so it's got a really nice feel. This uses all basic stitches. For this pattern, you're going to need to know how to do a slip knot to get the yarn on your hook. You're going to need to know chain stitches. You're going to need to know single crochet and then also half double crochet. If you're not familiar with those stitches, you can get all of those tutorials in my basics playlist on my YouTube channel. But really they're very easy, straightforward stitches, and it's going to be a really successful pattern for you, I'm sure. Let's go ahead and take a look at what materials you need for this beautiful washcloth. Now, first thing we need to talk about is yarn. I'm going to use a Lion Brand Coboo yarn. This is a combination of cotton and bamboo. I do recommend cotton or a cotton bamboo blend for any type of wash rag, washcloth, dishcloth that you're going to make, because you want something that's going to be really absorbent, wrings out well, and holds up to a lot of use. And that's going to be your cotton, or in this case, a cotton bamboo blend. The reason I prefer the bamboo blend is because the bamboo adds a nice touch of softness to it. Sometimes cotton yarn can be kind of stiff and unwieldy, and this is really nice and soft. So I prefer this one. Now, if you look at the yarn, you'll see this is a weight 3, and the recommended crochet hook size is a 4 millimeter. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to use a 4 millimeter hook with this. Now you don't have to use this, of course. You can use any cotton yarn that you want. If your cotton yarn is a different weight though, you're just going to want to check and see. It might be a different weight. If it is, go see what the recommended hook size is for that particular brand and weight of cotton yarn that you have, and make sure that's the hook size that you're using. That will make sure that works properly for you. So we're going to use those two. We're also going to need for this a tapestry needle to weave in the ends, and of course a pair of scissors. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. So I am going to start, and I'm going to make 26 chain. Now, if you don't like this size, which this was based on a 26 foundation chain. If you don't like the size and you want something a little bit larger, that is absolutely fine. Just make sure that the number of chains that you make for your beginning is an even number. That's really the only stipulation, is that it's an even number. So we're going to do, in this example, we're going to do 26. Okay, we're at 20. All right, now we're at 26. If you're not sure and lost track of your counting or anything like that, just make sure you go back and count so that you have 26. Also, as I mentioned in my chain stitch video, make sure your chain is all consistent so that all your stitches are the same chain size or stitch size. Okay, now when we start row 1 here, we're going to go in the second chain from the hook. So not this one, but this one. The first chain that's on the hook there is going to kind of act like a turning chain, and I'll explain that when we get to row 2. So what we want to do is a single crochet in each stitch all the way across, starting with the second chain. So not this one, but the second chain from the hook. That means you will be left with 25 single crochets since we're kind of ignoring that 26th stitch that was there. So go ahead and do 25 single crochets all across your foundation chain. Don't worry about it if it curls up a little bit as you're going along. Just make sure that you're not pulling very tight, that you have nice loose fingers and hands so that you're not putting a lot of tension on your yarn. And that way it'll keep your stitches really even, and it will keep you from pulling that foundation chain too much and getting it all out of whack. As a side note, the color I'm using, I didn't mention. The Lion Brand Coboo comes in so many colors. They're all really beautiful. This is called just pink, nothing special. This one here that I made the original one out of is called mauve. I think they have some really beautiful colors there. So if you like this one, it's pink. It's a really nice light color. Okay, 2 more to go, and then we'll be at the end here. All right. Okay, so we have our foundation chain, and then we have a nice row. Oops, excuse me. Let's do that one again. That got stuck there. There we go. And we have a nice row of just single crochet. All right, so it should look like this. And you should have 25. We started with 26 chain. The first chain off the hook was going to be our turning chain, so that left us with 25 single crochet. All right, now you're going to chain 1, and that will be your turning chain. The purpose of a turning chain is to make sure that when you're starting your next row, that you're starting it at the height of the stitches that you're going to do in those in that particular row. If you don't do a turning chain at all and you just start going in the hook, you're going to have some rounded edging here instead of it starting out at the right height. So turning chains are important. Now, depending on your pattern, your turning chain can count as the first stitch, or your turning chain can be ignored. You have to read your pattern, and it will tell you whether or not your turning chain counts as anything. In this particular pattern, it's simply a turning chain to help us get to the right height, and we are going to basically ignore it. I'll show you a little bit about what that does to your crochet work afterwards. So now we're in row 2, and we are going to, row 3, and we are going to start with a half double crochet, which is yarn over, insert your hook into that very first stitch. You have 3 loops, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Perfect half double crochet. In your second stitch, you're going to do a single crochet. Then you're going to go back to a half double crochet. Then you will do a single crochet. And that's what this row will be. A half double crochet, then a single crochet, back and forth all the way to the end of the row. And you should end with a half double crochet because we have 25 stitches. We have an odd number of stitches. So that should end with a half double crochet. Okay, we're at the end here, and we have 2 stitches left. So the first one is going to be a single crochet, and the next one's going to be a half double crochet. But I just wanted to point this out to you, that this extra kind of looks like a chain at the end here. This is that one stitch that we ignored at the very beginning that kind of counted as our turning chain. So make sure you ignore that one here and only go into this last stitch, not that turning chain. Otherwise you will have too many stitches at the end, and you don't want to do that. And one of the things that's going to be really important is that you always end up with 25 stitches. So if you're getting lost and you're not sure, go back and start counting up your stitches and make sure you have 25 stitches. Okay, so we finished that. We're going to chain one. Again, that's our turning chain. That's not going to count for anything. Just a stitch to get us to the right height here. And now this row, similar to row 2, is going to be a row of single crochets. So you go ahead and put a single crochet in every stitch across. You should end up with 25 single crochets. Now if this gets a little difficult to see, remember we've got half double crochet and a single crochet alternating in that row before. And if you look, you can see some of the holes here are tight, some of them are a little bigger, and they kind of change sizes because one's a half double crochet and one's a single crochet. Just make sure you're looking really carefully about where to put your hook. If you're getting confused at all, you can also look at the top. You can clearly see where you should be putting your stitches when you look at those V's from the top level. So if that's helpful for you, you can look at it that way as well. Just make sure by the end of the row you have 25 single crochets. Okay, when you get to the end, finish up with your single crochets. Again, don't forget we've got that turning chain in there, and you're not going to want to put a single crochet in that turning chain. Just in the top of this last half double crochet that you made, and there you go. You should have 25 single crochets. And go ahead and chain one and turn. And what you want to do is repeat row 3. And row 3 is a half double crochet, a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet, alternating all the way back and forth until the end of the row. Again, remember you're ending with a half double crochet. Now this is your pattern. This is what you're going to want to do. A row of single crochet and then a row of the alternating half double crochet, single crochet every other row until it gets to the size that you want. I can't really tell you how many rows to make because it depends on what yarn and what hook that you use. But one of the things that you can do as you go along is you can fold this into a triangle and see if that matches up so that you have a perfect square, assuming that's the size you want. If you want something different, if you want a rectangle instead of a square, you can do that. I kind of like the look of the square. So, you can do that as however large you want. Again, remember, you can make it wider, than 26 stitches for your starting chain if you want. Whatever size you want to do for that, just go ahead and continue that pattern. A row of single crochet, then a row of half double crochet and single crochet alternating, and that row should start and end with a half double crochet. And when you get to the point where you think you're done, let's meet back here and I'll show you how to finish it up. Okay, so I have finished, and my wash rag is the length that I want it to be. What I tried to do is do it until I have a square, because I like mine to be square. So it's about the same width and height. And it looks like I ended up having 24 rows of the alternating 1 row of single crochet and 1 row of single crochet and half double crochet. And that got me to the height that I wanted, and started with the 26 foundation chain. So now that I've finished, we're going to go ahead and just complete this. And what I am going to do is cut my yarn, and I'm just going to leave some that I can weave in. Now before I do this, I want to lock this in, so I am just going to do 1 chain and pull it all the way through. And when I do that and pull it out, that will lock that in. So this is my square. I've got the yarn that's left over here, and I have the yarn where I started. So we're going to want to weave those in. And this is where my tapestry needle is going to come into play. So I am just going to put this remaining yarn on my tapestry needle, and I'm going to weave this into my stitches. Now it probably doesn't matter as much with a washcloth, but I like to turn it and have the weaving done on the back, but no one will really notice the front or the back here, so you can weave it either side you want. And all I'm doing is, if you can see, I'm just sticking the needle, the tapestry needle, through some of my stitches. And I'm going to go a few stitches this way and pull that through. And then I'm going to go a few stitches the other direction. I like to just kind of go back and forth, so it makes it a little better weave in and out. And kind of do that a few times if you want, just to make sure that there's nothing sticking out there. I'm going to do one more time. If you just go one way, it's a little easier. It could potentially come out, but I'm just going to go back and forth a few times, pull that through, and then I'm done. Now I have this left over, and I'm just going to pull it a little bit and snip that off. And there, that is all weaved in. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my starting chain. Right here. And same thing. We're going to weave that in and out of a few stitches, just to try to get that hidden a little bit. And it doesn't have to be any particular stitches, just try to get them under one, so it's not very obvious that you've weaved that in there. You don't want it to be really, really obvious. So just do a few this way and that way, and then you can call it done. I'm gonna go one more this way. Now when I'm doing this and putting this through, I do like to go look at the back and make sure it's not too obvious here too. If you see this stitch, yeah, I probably don't like that I have it right there, so I'm gonna back that up a little bit and make sure that when see, that's better. I'm gonna do it like that. And when I pull that through, I'll be done. And then we'll snip that off too. There. And now you have your washcloth. It's actually, like I said, really simple process to make. I think you'll really enjoy these, and nice to have around in your bathroom, in your kitchen, wherever you want to use them. Beautiful pattern, nice little bit of texture. Give this a try. I think you'll really enjoy it, and I think you can be successful if this is your first project. And if you have any questions or need further instructions or thoughts on what to do, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. And I hope this was helpful, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks, everyone.